someone who's come to making my film quite late, but there were points when I was much younger that I could have, with more courage and maybe more ambition, pushed through and made a film at an earlier point. And I think we lack in this country a sort of entrepreneurial spirit that we see in America. Kids of 22 making films and actually getting them seen and following through. I'm not saying it's not important to have skills, but I think
what I didn't say was that we try and make a lot of short films, and we encourage people to make short films as stepping stones to understand the whole film craft thing. That I think whether it's one of the things we say to, for example, the animation students at the National Film School, is we would love them to come out of the film school as an animation graduate and to be able to direct a kids' animation series with a team of 60-odd people, be able to brief storyboard artists and direct it. If they could do that, that would be absolutely fantastic. And part of the stepping stone to that is doing actually quite a lot of short films and practicing, getting those skills through practice, not going out to kind of make a feature film. Actually, a series of ever sort of, ever better and possibly increasing length. All I'm saying is that in our business, there is a career path, which is sort of shorts. Ideally, if you've directed, say, a TV series or even written a TV series, it's a fantastic thing to be able to do on your way to writing, say, feature film scripts. So there is a progressive path. Live action industry is quicker than our industry, for sure, but you get an awful lot of experience underneath your belt if you're willing to actually really learn the approach and the skills, most of which are unwritten, to be honest, about what you need to drive a movie at the end of the day.
I mean, film school is not for everybody. I was at the National Film School, and I had, I think I sort of took a kind of wrong turning at film school because I was making a certain kind of short film when I was there, and I wasn't very encouraged to develop my own voice, and I had a huge loss of confidence when I came out of the film school and thought, well, actually, I'm not going to follow my sort of path that I felt instinctively I wanted to go down, that I've got to sort of go into the kind of grinding mill and work in television and do a certain type of drama. And unfortunately, I did that, which would have been fine if I'd just done it for a couple of years. But I found, 10 years or more went by and I was still doing the same thing. And it was, I'm not regretting what happened, but I just think you've got to be very careful to try and not be discouraged if possible, be a little bit braver than I was, but also decide maybe film school's not going to be for you. And I definitely don't think a degree is a requirement. I didn't go to university. So I just think it's, now with the technology the way that it is, there's no excuse. You can just go and make a film. So it's obviously that's a whole different view on it. Maybe it's a slightly idealistic one, but I kind of think we lack that drive in this country.
Can I just say that as a past employer in productions, we were always very, very cynical about people who had come out of film school. And this was quite a long time ago because now I'm looking after children, not working. But there are so many different media studies courses, GCSEs, A-levels, etc., that there are so many kids coming out now with these qualifications and expecting, some of them, just be able to walk into a job and direct, as you've both said. The reality isn't like that. And it is, as Gavin has said, aptitude and attitude. If you've got initiative, if you're willing to make the tea, you don't really photocopy anymore because everything's sent by email, but in the past that was important. And that's actually something that you've got to be able to do. Endon will get thousands and thousands of job applications every day in their human resources department. And it's so many kids with the same qualifications, but actually it is about being just a little bit humble perhaps, which goes for anything, in any sort of job, in any walk of life. And I think it's fantastic that in the digital age, the creatives have got a voice now through computers, but the production people haven't necessarily got that voice. You have got to have a bloody hard slog and just hope. And in feature films, it isn't as it used to be, but when I first started working in features, there is a dynasty. If you look on the credits of the average British feature film, you'll see the same names coming up, time after time after time, which is great. And there are generations of people, and if you're not part of that, or if you weren't part of that, it was very, very hard to get in. So you just have to be prepared to work extra hard. And it is, but if you want to really do it, then you can.
Can I just say, but sort of arguably, there's so many opportunities these days for young people as well. I totally agree with everything you've said, but also the fact that the way that people view and participate in TV and film and stuff these days is changing. And with so many good things like Club Flix and other opportunities, you know, to create your own films and do all that kind of stuff, as well as those traditional routes, there's all these new ways that young people can get involved in stuff as well. And you know, it's a bit of a unquantified market at the moment, really. But I don't know. I work with young people, and I would just say that just if you can just get involved in as much stuff as possible, that's great. I mean, certainly 10, 15 years ago, you know, you wouldn't have been able to afford to, maybe longer, you wouldn't have been able to afford to get hold of a camera and do all the things that you can do. But now, like technology and distribution, and as I say, Club Flix and organisations like, you know, film clubs for young people are so much more readily available. There's untold stuff that young people can get involved in to sort of build up their CV and so on.
I think that's true. There's a massive oversupply of people who want to get into this, and it's how you make yourself stand out and how you show exactly the initiative that that's most important. Because there is, in my kind of little public sector-y role, part of what I'm trying to do is to bridge that gap between universities and media studies courses and qualifications and actually what the industry wants, which is sometimes two very different things. And the industry has always previously used a degree as a kind of shortcut. If you've got a degree, then you have a certain amount of aptitude or intelligence, and so that's the kind of cost stuff. And then we'll look for the next bit around initiative. And that all seems very much a kind of botch. So we have to work out the education, but also you've got the tools to make yourself stand out, and that's how you'll get in.
Because I suppose the other thing about the industry, though, which is what's so great about it, is it's a very passionate sort of industry. That's why so many of us want to go into it in the first place. But I suppose so we all kind of leave university or leave school or whatever and go into it sort of blindly, expecting it to be absolutely fantastic and glamorous. And at some point, everybody that stays in the industry for a while has to realise that it's a business, and that actually you can't just keep perpetually making stuff which is brilliant, but actually at some point you have to serve a market. And I suppose that's the best grounding I think you can have going into it, is to keep the passion and keep that kind of experimentation and desire to make great entertainment, stories, whatever it is, but not be blindsided by the fact that at some point some people are going to ask you to compromise for commercial reasons, because that's the way the industry works. And I suppose, going back to the example of the media students who come out, the problem isn't the fact that they're full of ideas and bright ambition. That's brilliant. The problem with it is that they're not quite ready, or that some of them aren't quite ready to accept the fact that, you know, it's a lot of hard work as well.
What do you think? As someone that's just come out...
I'm in the hard slog. That woman said hard slog. I think I'm in it, actually. Because I came out of uni and I want to be a director. But I know that I'm not going to become a director. So what do I do to earn a living, get experience in the meantime? It's funny, you guys have mentioned ideas and directors and stuff, but actually I did a sort of 60% practical, 40% theory course in Bristol. And a lot of people in my course wanted to be camera ops editors, and some of them have got quite good jobs at the BBC and in around production houses in Bristol, because I felt they had skills. I was pigeonholed as a director. My show reel from uni is producing, writing, directing. And as much as it is good to be able to say that, but actually, day in, day out, how do I earn a living with that? Well, obviously I had to adapt, and I can pick up a camera and I can shoot. I edit, basically this year I edit and camera op for a living, but I do want to become a director. I do want to direct. I have a passion for that. So it's going back to your question. It's how do you do that if you are a director, really? And I'm in that hard slog now. I suppose I'm trying to get my ideas out to lower end stuff, what they call 3-minute wonders and stuff, just to get my voice heard. But just going back to your question about uni versus not. I mean, when I was 15, 16, I lied about my age. I was meant to be 16. I was working in production houses in London. GCSE work experience, the first year of GCSEs, and I got asked to stay on to do to become a runner, and I said no, I have to go back to Devon and do my A-levels. You know, oh, you're only doing your A-levels, and it was kind of like, oh, I often do think, well, what happens if I stayed on? What happens